Okay, welcome everyone. How's the sound back there? People in the back row, how do I sound? Good, good. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. I'm Nancy Pewter, and on behalf of Seacoast Seniors, I'd like to welcome you here today. We have a wonderful day ahead of us, a great speaker, and for those of you who don't know, at Seacoast Seniors, our mission is simple: to educate, equip, and empower older adults and their families so they make knowledge-driven versus crisis-driven decisions when the crisis happens. So first I'd like to thank my team, Sam, our videographer, who is so wonderful and so faithful to get these uploaded onto YouTube for us every month, and Ted, our greeter. I've known Ted and his wife for years, and he agreed to be our greeter this past year, and it's been awesome. I'd also like to thank our sponsors. I'm sorry I can't get them up on the screen today because we're missing the appropriate cord to this TV. But our sponsors are Regenesis 360, which is a fitness place in town. And Prudence is a member, and we go regularly. So if you want more information about that, Estate 360, Seniors Helping Seniors. Are any of my sponsors here today besides Nathan? I know Nathan is. Villages of Slow, Tony Crivello Insurance, and Nathan from Magnolia Primrose. Magnolia Primrose is the most delightful residence for people with dementia issues, located in Orchid in a beautiful garden-like setting. So thank you. Because of their commitment to the community, you get to be here today at absolutely no cost. So thank you, Nathan. And Nathan will be here afterwards if you'd like to talk to him a little bit or get his information. So what are we doing today? We're pulling back the curtain on how to find the money that you've worked so hard and that you deserve. How many of you have ever made a phone call on an insurance policy or Social Security or somewhere like that, and you feel like this little tiny person, and then the person on the other line is this big person of authority with an attitude? Have you ever experienced that? You know, when I first got into working with seniors, some of you know my story. I was delighted to find out there's some wonderful people out there. They never showed up in the 47 years that I sold real estate, which I do still sell real estate. That's my day job. But I used to wonder, where the heck are the people to help these people? Because I was continually going into people's homes, and something bad had happened, and the kids had converged and already made a bunch of stupid decisions, and the siblings were fighting, and if nothing else, mom and dad had completely lost their dignity. They're sitting in an armchair feeling completely useless and helpless, and the kids were terrifying the way they were behaving. And the parent just, the aging parent just didn't want to deal with it. So I realized when I decided to do something about it, started doing these seminars and went out and to see if I could find some people out there that knew what they were doing to help seniors. I found out there's some wonderful people out there, but nobody knows where they are. So the reason I got involved and I do these seminars is not only to help you make knowledge-driven decisions, but to also be the conduit for you, to connect you with people that are good people I know that I've met. I've had lunch or coffee with them. I know them well enough where I would refer them to my own family. Instead of what typically was I was seeing happen was people, all the kids were going to Google and just getting just anybody. And just so many bad things happen, I couldn't even begin to tell you. So that's been my thing. And I have a wonderful resource team that I've built. And it's just been wonderful. We've been doing it for 8 years now. But back to what I was originally asking you, how many times have you made the phone call where you really needed some help and your situation just didn't quite fit into the box that the person on the other line needed to check in order to help you? I met David a couple of months ago, and I was blown away. He was introduced to me by another senior professional, and we had coffee, and then we had lunch. And what really attracted me to David was that he doesn't have a list of things and a bunch of boxes that you have to fit into. It seems like nowadays, wherever you go, and it could be just me, but it seems that everybody knows their job, and if what you're asking them is outside the parameters of their job, one iota, then they can't help you. And gone are the days of people being flexible and trying to do their job 150%. I always told my kids, do your job and then do your coworkers, part of his job too, just to help them out. And so there's this wonderful overlap, in an organization. But more and more, everything is just so regimented. The beautiful thing about David is David doesn't work for any of those organizations to start with. And he thinks outside the box, and he's got some wonderful tips today on how to find out if you're qualified or can take advantage of a benefit, but also how to talk to the people on the phone that answer so that you get, your mission accomplished. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll try a couple of times and I just get so discouraged I'll walk away. Has anybody in here ever done that? And just said, it's just not working, and it's exhausting. Well, David's here to change your life today, and I'm so glad that you came. And I couldn't do what he does. He's just he's like a dog with a bone in his mouth. So, a few things before we get started. Did everybody get a learning card when they came in? So, if you haven't been here before, the reason we have learning cards is you every time you come, you get a hole punched, and when you have 10 holes in your card, you get a $10 Panera Bread card. So that's just kind of a fun little thing that we do. And everybody got a raffle ticket, right? Because we have a raffle at the end. All right. So what else? Ducks. You might have noticed we have ducks outside. We want you to be sure and take a duck home and keep the duck where you see it, because that's a reminder to get your ducks in a row. Every week you should be doing something to get your ducks in a row. And if you need help with it, that's what I'm good at. So just call me and I'll let you know what you need to do next. There's feedback forms on your table. Please be sure to fill those out. You don't get your hole punched unless you fill it out, but it really helps us put on better and better seminars all the time. Okay, well, welcome back to Hidden Money, the money that most seniors leave behind. Today, we're fortunate to have a true advocate in our corner. Our guest is the owner of Amada Senior Care, a company built on the belief that every senior deserves exceptional care and dignity. But what sets David apart isn't just the care his team provides day in and day out, it's his deep personal commitment to making sure families never leave money on the table that could change their lives. We are so glad he said yes to being here today. Please hold your questions to the end. We will have a Q&A session. And David will also stay after the workshop is over to answer any questions that didn't get answered during the Q&A period. Okay, so now could we all please give a warm welcome from Seacoast Seniors to David Adler. Okay, David, I'm so glad you're here. Really, I'm excited. So let's just jump right into it, okay?
Well, I want to say, first of all, Nancy, thank you for inviting me, and thank you for the kind words about me. So I really appreciate that.
Oh, well, I didn't have to make them up. They're the truth. So, and you're very welcome. So, David, many families you work with have no idea that money is hiding in plain sight. So what's the most common reaction when someone discovers there's a benefit they didn't know that they had?
It's usually one of two. One is of surprise, or second is of embarrassment there. Embarrassment, why did I not know this there? I can tell you yesterday, 2 different families, I had both of those reactions there. Same thing on Monday, 2 other families there. One was surprised, one was embarrassed there.
So why do you think so many eligible seniors and families miss out on these benefits?
The reason is there is for seniors, unfortunately, there's a huge amount of uneducation through agencies, the VA, the insurance companies there. They do a very poor job of educating seniors on what these benefits are. Why? Because either the VA doesn't want to communicate. VA is the Veterans Administration, therefore you don't know. The insurance companies, they want to keep their profits there.
So be sure when you speak you keep your real close to your mouth.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. No. So who qualifies for VA benefits, and do families often assume their loved one doesn't qualify when they actually do?
Yes. So there's 3 parts to the VA. There's the VA that has the VHA, which is for service-connected disabilities there. Then there is a second part of the VA for anyone, like, for example, was in Vietnam who may have been exposed to chemicals. There was a family on Saturday that served in Vietnam. They were not aware of, like, the Agent Orange, and they were surprised that they would qualify for that. And there's the third that there's almost no mention, and this is for both veterans and spouses. It's an assistance program by the VA. It's called Aid in Attendance there, and it's a monthly pension that you can get. There are certain qualifications there, but the VA does a very, very poor job of telling anybody about this Aid in Attendance program.
Right. I actually had someone come and speak one time, and he kind of told everybody pretty much there's nothing for you. And I was really surprised and disappointed to hear that. I have since screened my speakers a little better. That was in the first year. But so can you kind of walk us through how Aid in Attendance works?
Yes, there. Again, it's an assistance program, and I actually have on my computer there within 5 minutes I can determine anybody whether you qualify there. So you need to have been either a veteran or the spouse of a veteran. This is key. There's many times for the spouse of a veteran where she is not, where the veteran is deceased and the spouse of the veteran is not aware that she was entitled to a monthly pension there. The first qualification is it needed to be during a wartime, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam, the Gulf Wars there. If a veteran served during that time, then the next question is, are there what's called 2 of 6 ADLs? ADLs are activities of daily living. They're things you do within the first hour of the morning. For example, transferring, which is getting out of bed and walking, showering or bathing, grooming, eating. Those would be key activities of daily. If you need assistance for 2 of those, then you could get additional caregiving expenses there. The third one is there's an asset limit of $166,000. However, it excludes your house as long as it's under 2 acres there. And even for seniors that have more than 166,000 in assets, you can put it in an irrevocable trust. I'm not an attorney, but then an irrevocable trust is a trust that you cannot touch. So that reduces your assets there.
So you have already given us more tips in this short period of time than the professionals who are in these organizations have given us from the front of the room, and we've just gotten started. Okay, Dave, I'll tell you when David really had me. We were having coffee with this other professional that was introducing us, and he told me, when you call the insurance company or you call these places, and you're looking for some kind of benefit for care, the first thing they say to you is, "How are you doing today?" And he goes, "What would be your reaction?" Okay, so then they mention that.
There. So here's the problem, because yes, most of you are part of either the silent generation or your early baby boomers. Is that correct? There. And you were taught, if times were tough, to tough it out and say that things are good. There. That's a reflection of your generation. It's not you. Here's the problem. If you have any type of insurance, long-term care insurance, life insurance policies, and you get on to try to collect a claim and you say you're fine, you just disqualified yourself there. As a senior, you have less than a 5% chance of actually getting your claims accepted. There. I am the only person in the back on the side there that's certified for long-term care insurance in San Luis Obispo County or Santa Barbara County. There's no one else certified. The reason I say that, I have a 98% probability of getting claims accepted there. Because what I do, and I do it professionally there, is with the senior, I only have the senior on the call with the claims department for the very beginning to initiate, where they have to validate you based upon your date of birth there and your social security number. Then I walk away from you there, and I will professionally follow up with the claims department because I know what questions to ask. Again, your intent is nice, but you most likely are going to disqualify yourself. That's why I don't want you on the call when I initiate a claim after you're validated there.
Kind of like my real estate business. We don't like the buyers and the sellers to be at the same place at the same time.
Yes, there, because most likely you're going to say something even at the beginning or down the road that's going to disqualify you.
Okay, good. Well, so how long does the process usually take?
There. The process on the claims takes about an hour to an hour and a half. But let me say this. If someone has an insurance policy, for example, this afternoon I'm meeting with someone who has a long-term care insurance. It could be a short-term care. Yesterday, if someone has a long-term care insurance policy, say the maximum payout is $300,000, and it's over many years, and it's $2,000 per month, for example, there. What you don't realize as a senior is, from an insurance company perspective there, if they validate your claim, they have to take $300,000 that they have cash and they have to put it in a reserve. What's my point? They're going to fight like a Dickens there to deny your claim because that's the last thing they want to do. Even though the claim's only for $2,000 a month, it could be $1,000 a month. For example, the maximum amount of $300,000 that policy would pay out, they have to put that in reserve there.
So you're talking about insurance now. We moved away from
Yes.
VA, right?
Yes, but I can
Okay.
talk, yeah. On
No,
VA,
that's
yes.
okay. I just wanted
Yes.
to clarify
Sorry.
that. No, it's fine. That's what I'm here for. Believe it or not, I'm the one to keep everybody straight. Okay, so long-term care insurance, how many people in the room have it? Oh, more than
Wow.
I thought. Okay. Nowadays, it's a lot more expensive than it used to be. There used to be a lot more affordable, and David will tell you why, and that'll segue into what he was just telling you, is when you go to place that claim, for instance, if it's a $300,000 total payout, then they have to put that money aside. They're obligated by law to do that. So that's why they don't want to pay you, because they want that money in their investment funds making them more money. They don't want it just sitting in a dormant account.
Yeah, I was going to answer your question on why things are different now than they used to be. In the 1990s and early 2000s, their long-term care, or could be life insurance policies too, or short-term care too, there's short-term care policies too, they were sold, and they were based upon life insurance expectancies and cancellations, which were about 30%, versus on long-term care, there's less than a 2% cancellation. The insurance companies didn't realize that. They underpriced them, number one. And number two, they didn't expect seniors to live as long as they are now. They had a lower life expectancy. So most insurance companies that sold policies in the 90s, I'll say up through like 2017 or so, are actually going to lose money if those claims get accepted there. That's why they will do everything they can to deny you. And as a senior, like I say, you have less than a 5% chance of getting your claims accepted. Why? Again, I know I'm repeating myself, but I have a 98% probability of getting your claims accepted.
Is everybody okay with the sound? Yeah. I keep hearing a little thumping. That's not bothering anybody? Okay, good. That's just the perk of sitting next to the speaker. Okay, so what other benefits beyond veterans aid and attendance might seniors not know about?
Well, like the one, let's go back to the veterans there. How many people are veterans there? How many are spouses of veterans? So just looking at the audience here, at least half are either a veteran or spouse of a veteran there. So either veterans or spouses, you could be entitled there. As I mentioned, there's 3 different areas there. There's the service-connected disabilities, and the VA does a decent job there. Then there's the second one, which is a result of the PACT Act that came out in 2022, and it was a result of many veterans having been exposed to Agent Orange and other chemicals there, the Camp Lejeune there, that many seniors are, many veterans are not aware. It's called, and what the VA had to do because of the act of Congress from the PACT Act, it's called presumptive theory. What that means is that if you, as a veteran, were in Vietnam, for example, and they were spraying Agent Orange, or there were other chemicals, the VA has to then proceed ahead with a payment to you as a result of the chemical exposure. All you have to do is document that you were actively involved in the wartime. You don't have to actually show proof of the exposure to the agent. The third area, as I mentioned, the aid and attendance. Very few spouses of veterans are aware that they are also entitled to aid and attendance. It's not just for the veteran, it's for the veteran and their spouse there. Day in and day out, I run across spouses of veterans, and very few of them are aware that they're eligible for the aid and attendance.
So, David, what about, let's talk long-term policy, care
Yes,
policies.
yes.
It looks like at least half of the people in
Yes.
here have one. So many people have had their policy for a long time. How do families locate and verify old policies?
Okay, I'll give you a good example of someone here on the Central Coast a week ago. She knows that she was 95 years old, knows that she pays the premium, but had no idea where the policy is there. Mm-hmm. So I kept asking her there, well, who do you pay the policy to there? And she told me who the company, I'm not going to mention the company there, but it's one of the top 10 long-term care insurance companies. All I need to know is who you're making the payments to for the long-term care, and I have the contact information for just about all the long-term care insurance companies. What I will do is get on the phone with the client, and we will then get the policy number on the phone with the customer service team, and I always ask to have an updated policy sent to the client.
That's a really good point. So what triggers a long-term care policy to pay out? And why do some families struggle to activate their benefits?
There. Well, here's a good example of what's not qualified. Is a senior gets on the phone and says, I just had a hip replacement, for example, there, so I want to activate my long-term care and policy there. That would not activate it there. You have to have at least two of the activities of daily living, where you have a transferring issue there, where it takes where you need assistance in walking or getting out of bed there, or that would be one, transferring. Another would be showering or bathing there. Another one would be dressing, for example. Another one would be eating/meal prep there. These would be, you would need at least two of these there to trigger it there. But you have to be very careful, and this is what I do there, because they will try to trick you, the claims department. I like to say for insurance companies, there's actually four parts for long-term care. There's the insurance agent, and the insurance agent will have coffee with you, will have lunch with you. If you have a yard, they'll mow your grass. I'm just kidding. There. But again, you understand that. Then there's the customer service. The customer service part of the insurance company, they're usually pretty nice. You call them up, and it could be the insurance agent too there. Now, those are the nice parts. Then there's the claims department there, and they're going to fight tooth and nail to deny you of that. And there's usually a fourth area where the insurance company will send out a CNA to the senior's home to validate that you do need the care.
That's a certified nurse.
Yes.
Okay, so are there common reasons why claims get denied, and what can families do if that happens?
Yes, again, because 95% of the time or more, claims are going to be denied. You as a senior there. Um, you need to work with someone who knows how to get the claims approved, because most likely you're going to say something on the call that is going to disqualify you, whether you're being too nice there. For example, if it took you 30 minutes to get out of bed and the claims department asks you, how are you doing? You say you're okay there. They will ask you through that hour and a half um, discussion there various questions to disqualify you there that you're not aware of. What would be some of the examples? Like they'll say, they will lead you saying, well, let's say that you have a hard time walking, and they'll say, well, can't you get up and walk there? And if you say yes, that would disqualify you from a transfer, for example. They will also ask on like eating, well, can't you prepare your own meals, for example. The leading questions are to deny you of the claim.
Right, so it's kind of like pushing a pea up a hill with your nose, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So the beautiful thing is that how many people in this room would you be willing to help, David?
Every one of them there. I do this, and the reason I say this, I told Nancy this there, I do this from my heart because, as I mentioned, most seniors are uneducated. They don't know what the road ahead is there, and they will give up, where I do not. There, my goal is to get you the benefits that you deserve there, period, there. And I will do everything that I can. I don't charge anything for that, for this process. Yeah.
I know, he doesn't charge you anything. Now, he does have a business. He never even mentioned his business the whole time we were together. And I'm just so in awe of his level of commitment to helping people get cut through the red tape, because it's hard enough when we're feeling good, but when we're not feeling good or if we're grieving, oh my gosh, how much harder it is to try to do anything. Never mind deal with somebody with an attitude when on the other end of the line, and when the odds are stacked against you. So David, can a long-term care policy be used for in-home care or only for a senior community?
There, you have to look at the policy. What I like to do before I get on the call, just you were asking me too, what are some things I do, is I have CNAs that are caregivers. I have a caregiving organization, and they will do an assessment of you before we get on the call to say that you need assistance with A, B, or C. And I will also tell them that I am certified in long-term care insurance there, which creates a totally different conversation with the claims department when I tell them that I'm certified there. I would have also worked out what the benefits are that you should be receiving before we get on the call. There's about 12 things, and I can go through that with you that I'm looking for in your long-term care policy. I have a 3-page sheet that I will fill out before we get on the call, where I'm looking for, like, your elimination period. Here's a good example. Many seniors, I will look, all long-term care policies have elimination period, which means it's the time before your policy goes into effect from a claim standpoint. It could be 0 days, it could be 30 days, it could be 60 days, it could be 90 days there. Where a lot of seniors are not aware is you have inflation factors too that are built into your policy. And the reason I say that is this is unfortunate, but, and I'll give you an example. Of someone who took out a long-term care insurance policy in 1995. This is fairly recent there. and was with another caregiving organization and basically living on SNAP or food stamps because it was showing the benefit of only $100 a day there. Well, what they didn't do, and then she got upset with them there and called me up because she heard that I'm the expert for long-term care insurance here on the Central Coast. Well, what the other agency and even the insurance company didn't want to tell this woman there is there was an inflation factor of 5%. From 1995, instead of being entitled to $100 a day, she was entitled to $384 a day of care that I was able to get by looking at the inflation factor. Now, the inflation factor on her policy was on page 67, the fourth paragraph in very small print there. But what's my point? I knew that I always look for, that's one of the factors, again, that's what I'm able to do there, and the insurance company would not volunteer, again, there. That's just one example of a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that's just amazing, isn't it? So, okay, let's talk about life insurance as a living benefit. Most people think life insurance only pays after death. Can you explain the options for tapping into a policy while the insured is still alive?
Yes. Yes, there. Most insurance, life insurance policies, like you said, Nancy, they focus on the death benefit, but they have a real value before you die too there. And you have two options. You can either go back to your insurance company where most likely they're going to lowball you on what that, let's just say that you have a 300,000, let's say you have a $200,000 death benefit on your insurance policy. Is everybody with me there? So the insurance company may lowball you and say, we'll give you $50,000 now on that. Versus that's option one. A better option is to go on the market there. That's where I can help with seniors there. Go outside the insurance company because the senior will look at that I got 50,000. That's good. But on the open market, I'm going to say if you have a life expectancy of less than 10 to 15 years, that $300,000 policy is probably worth $150,000 to $200,000 there. But seniors are not aware of that.
Boy, that would make a huge difference in the quality of your life the last 10 to 15 years, correct?
Yes.
50,000 versus 200,000.
Yes. Now the closer you are, the more illnesses that you have, the higher your death benefit, is there.
Now, are we talking about whole term insurance or whole life insurance or term life insurance?
This would be more, the term insurance usually does not have a death benefit there versus because it usually is 5 years with nothing. There's usually no death versus whole insurance with riders. There's various options there where you do have a death benefit.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is I think before I decided I didn't qualify, I would talk to you first. Just to determine that and have you look at my policy.
Yes, there, because I will go through and look at even on your life insurance policies because many of them have a death benefit there. In fact, yesterday I was with someone in Arroyo Grande. They were not aware that they had a death. It was a short-term insurance policy. They were not aware that they had a death benefit associated with that policy.
So when, excuse me, David, when does converting a life insurance policy make sense and when might it not be the right move?
There. To me, it makes the most sense, and I'm not an insurance agent. I'm a senior care advisor. The reason I say that, there, and I have a home care agency care. It makes sense when you need care there and you don't have additional funds there. And again, you'd asked earlier about long-term care insurance. Where does it cover? You have to look at the policy. Some only provide home care, some provide facility, some provide assisted living. You have to look, some provide all three there. You have to look at the policy.
So you can also help with Medicare and disability questions, correct?
Yes, I have I did not mention this, but I teach 10 different topics to 5 regional hospitals: French Slough, Santa Maria, which is Dignity Health, Arroyo Grande, Lompoc Valley Medical, and Santa Ynez Valley Hospital. And I'm teaching them to the care coordination and the nursing teams because they don't even know what options seniors have. And I actually get calls where they'll say there's a veteran or a spouse of a veteran getting ready to get out of the hospital here. David, what do you recommend? They don't remember the specifics. They remember, David, you taught us something about the different options there. We just have to release 3 patients today. 2 of these, tell us what the options are.
Yeah, I mean, isn't he incredible, you guys? I mean, this was really a divine appointment, getting to meet David, because these are, people come to me. I do the best I can, but I do these workshops and I connect you with people that are in the know. But it's so frustrating when you're falling between the cracks and I don't have the answers for you. So, David, you are filling up so many of those cracks really fast, and I can't tell you how much peace of mind that gives me, and I'm sure other people too. So, well, I've always known for disability. I mean, I've known for years before I even started doing this that the people in customer service for disability are trained to reject you. They're ordered to reject claims when they're submitted. Has anybody ever submitted a disability claim and just had it accepted? It's because it doesn't happen. They're ordered to reject the first claim. And I've been told that. Now, I can't back that up with facts, but so you tell me what your experience has been with that.
I can't back that up with facts. Here's a month ago, I had a senior, 91 years old, in Arroyo Grande there, and she worked for the city of Los Angeles, lives in Arroyo Grande, retired there, and needed help there. And she went out on 2012 on disability, and to make a long story short there, the policy was based upon 2012, and she said she tried to work with the the disability company about getting more money, and they said no. So I asked her, and this is a good example to one of your questions earlier about they don't have a policy. I said, can I go through every piece of paper that you have on your disability? And I was able to pull out something that said, we will cover all medical care expenses throughout the remainder of your life. And to make a long story short, got on the phone with the disability company. She was able to get 4 times more benefits there because I was able to pull it out and go through. Again, there was probably 100 different pieces of paper, but I found the one paper there that said that they will, the disability, they will cover all benefits for the rest of her life.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And that's just our world today. And the sooner we just accept it, the better. And, the happier we're going to be. If you need a good professional, call me. If you're in between or looking to file claims, I'm always going to refer you to David. And Yeah, you just would not believe. You probably do know the void that you're filling today in people's lives, even people that are just sitting here. So, if
I just wanted to say, to me, the greatest satisfaction is not the monetary. It's being able to hear seniors, like you say, surprised or saying, thank you there, you really helped us out. To me, like I say, I do this from my heart there, so that's where I get my satisfaction on the feedback of helping seniors.
you're a good man, David Adler. So, if a family came to you today and said, "We're overwhelmed," when have you ever heard that one? Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. But yeah, that's the most common word we hear is overwhelmed. If a family came to you today and said, "We're overwhelmed and don't know where to start," what's the very first thing you'd tell them to do?
There, I like to, how many of you have heard of the 80-20 principle there, or 2080? Have you heard of that? Um, what the principle is that 20% of the things you focus on are really the most important things, and the other 80% are secondary there. So what I would say, it's a prioritization there. Figure out what are your top 3 or 4 priorities there, and focus on those, and do not focus on the other 70 to 80%. It's more important to focus on those top 1, 2, 3 priorities, complete those, then go to the others. The issue is when people are overwhelmed, they're trying to do 50, 100 things at a time. There, pick your number there. And what happens? None of them get completed. It's much better to figure out right now, today, live in the present moment. What are your top 3 priorities? Get those done, and then work on the other ones.
And you can call me, you can call me anytime, and I'm happy to help you put a simple plan together. Step one, step two, even if we just have to go one step a week, we can do that. So we don't want you to feel alone. We want you to feel like you have a lifeline. Okay, so what's the one benefit that surprises people the most when you see the biggest aha moment?
I'm going to say there's a couple there. The biggest one is spouses of veterans who had no clue that they were entitled to aid in attendance there. And unfortunately, many times where their spouse was a veteran who was deceased and they received nothing on aid in attendance, and they thought, wow, I could have gotten this pension for both my husband and myself many years ago there. So to me, that's a big surprise. And then the second one is with, I'll say, long-term care or life insurance there, where seniors tried to get their benefits approved and they got turned down there, and I'm able to get them approved for them.
Thank you, David. So we're going to open it up for questions from the audience. If anyone has, Larry has a question.
This is kind of a follow-up to your.
I'll repeat the question just so you know.
Kind of a follow-up to your statement about an arrogant claims person on the phone. My wife is covered by long-term care through CalPERS. So the claim was open. We were receiving benefits. Twice I get the same letter, 2 weeks apart, saying, unless we get invoices from provider, we're going to close the claim. When I phoned in each one, the first time they said, oh, that was sent to you by mistake. Second time they said, oh, we did receive the invoices. And 1 week later, I get a letter closing the claim. So I phone, and the provider had proof they had sent it, because they had sent it by fax and they had the information. And the one person said they had it, but then they said they don't. So on the phone with this claims adjuster, after, I don't know, 20 minutes of conversation, and she kept repeating the same thing, I finally said, I understand totally what you're telling me. I'm going to ask you one more time, can I talk to a supervisor? Which she had said no. if you say no to that, I'm going to hang up and file a grievance claim with CalPERS. And she said, oh, don't do that, I'll get you a supervisor. A person shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah, did everybody hear that? Yeah, it's nice we're in a small room today. Yeah, that's a terrible story, but it's typical.
So I imagine many people wouldn't have been persistent.
Yes, I was going to say yes. A good example with CalPERS, because they contract out to Illumifin there that I'm registered there for caregiving there. So you probably dealt with somebody from Illumifin, or was it CalPERS?
Whatever.
There, and unfortunately, they're trained to try to deny you there. So that's unfortunately a very typical story there with CalPERS and others.
Any other questions?
I actually had a
Lene.
question about the life insurance. Do they still call it a viatical settlement if they pay you out like a lump sum and like you cancel the insurance? They'll just like if you have the $200,000 policy and they want to pay you $50,000 and you take it, is that called a viatical settlement?
So she's asking what a viatical settlement is exactly.
Okay, there. But let me just, before I answer that, I want to mention something too that I haven't. On both life insurance policies and long-term care insurance, just about every senior is getting notices about premium increases there. Is that true there? Yes. I sit down with seniors, I didn't mention this, and I'm not an insurance agent, but I will tell you what is the best option there when you have a premium increase there, because the insurance companies are going to try to lead you down a path that probably is not in your best interest on the different options for premium or life insurance policies there. I wanted to let everybody know that there, because is there any senior that has a insurance policy that has not seen a premium increase? I'm just curious. Recently. No, so you all have there, like I say, no charge, I will sit down with you. Back to your question there, yes, there, but you want to be careful when you, like I was saying earlier, on the settlement there, you want to explore all the options, including the open market there.
What is a viatical settlement?
There, where they're giving you they're giving you a payment there.
Okay.
There, based upon, but again, usually going with your own insurance company, I'm just letting you know, is not going to be your best option from a cash payment standpoint there. Why? Because they think it's like you're the only game in town. They think I'm the only game in town that you're contacting there, so I'm going to lowball you. Again, I'm not an insurance agent, I'm just letting you know that's their mindset there. Versus if you go in an open market, there's more options.
Most people love their insurance agent. You know, their insurance agents are great. It's the companies. And there's very few agents that really know how to get a claim processed anymore. You know, nobody's old school anymore. Nobody gives that old-fashioned service except a few select professionals out there, and you need to seek them out. And so David's here to cut through the red tape. He brought a list with him where you can fill out your name and email or phone number, and he'll call you over the next week or two and help you with, you know, any of your personal questions that you might have. He'll also be here afterwards, but sometimes you won't think of anything until after you leave, or you might feel it's a little too involved to get into here. So he wants to be available to you. So that's about all we have for today. Who's ready for the raffle?
I am.
Okay. All right. Where's Ted? Where's Ted the man? Here he is. Okay. Well, our first raffle gift is from Magnolia Primrose. They always bring a beautiful raffle gift. Thank you again, Nathan. Okay, you ready? We emptied the can this time. A couple of workshops ago, we had forgotten to empty the can. You'll remember. Okay. All right, the winner is 1751459. Is it Jenny? Did you say bingo? Jenny is our winner. There you go. Congratulations. Okay. The next thing we're giving away today is a book. And it's a very easy read. It's called Reversing Alzheimer's. And when you read it, it's really about how to prevent from getting Alzheimer's. Is what it's really about. Because who's ever tried to get a loved one with Alzheimer's or dementia to eat the food you want them to eat? Or get them to do anything, actually. So this book is great for everybody. And if you don't read yourself, whoever wins it, please pass it on to someone who could use the information. My husband and I both read it, which is a first. Usually we never want to read the same thing, but this is just such a nice, easy, helpful read. So, let's see. It's like I'm doing a commercial. I don't know what's gotten into me today. Okay. 1751461. There we go. There's our winner. Okay. There you go, doll. All right, and we've got one more, and it's a $25 gift certificate to Subway. Okay. The winner, 1751464. Whoa, all the way in the back again. We got a winning table. Okay, here you go. All right. Well, once again, I want to thank David for coming today and all our sponsors. And I hope I'm not forgetting anything. I want to remind you that my day job is as a realtor. So if you're thinking about selling, I'd really appreciate it if you'd consider giving me a call. And come up and talk to us afterwards. Don't be a stranger. Hang around. Enjoy yourself. Have some muffins. Take a muffin with you. Don't leave them for me. Okay? Thanks again. Bye. Hi, I'm Nancy Puder, a senior home coach on the Central Coast of California. If you enjoyed watching this video, please subscribe. Hit the button in the bottom corner and subscribe. And if you do live on the Central Coast of California, we would love to help you and your family get their ducks in a row. Contact me at area code 805-710-2415.